These are the stories that you're not going to find when you Google paramedical tattooing. What happens behind closed doors is change. What's fascinating about being in this industry is that I get to witness people every day being one decision away from ultimately transforming their life. So I wanted to share the most memorable moments of my career to remind you that what we do is so much more than tattooing. One of my most memorable consults was with a breast cancer survivor. She had come in with her husband. They must have been in their mid-70s, cutest elderly couple you could ever imagine. And in the consultation, she had survived cancer and was looking to restore her nipples with an areola tattoo. And in this consult, I am placing a temporary nipple tattoo on her so that way she can try it on for size. These temporary nipple tattoos easily fade in 7 to 10 days. Oftentimes after I place them on a client, it's a shock factor because a lot of these women haven't had a nipple since losing theirs during a mastectomy for years. A lot of them have been through many operations, reconstructions, and surgeries. And to finally get to a point where you're healed enough to have a nipple is a pretty monumental moment. After I place these temporary nipples on her, I always do the reveal, the big reveal where she's looking at herself in the mirror. In that moment when she's looking at herself in the mirror, she just starts crying. And I'll never get used to that. So she's crying, which then brings me to tears. And when I look over at her husband to hand him a tissue, it was the cutest thing because he had already taken a handkerchief out of his pocket. And to see that amount of love and support for his wife and for him to be so touched by her happiness meant everything. It was just something really cool that I got to experience. The cutest thing about that story is who carries handkerchiefs these days? And so that's what I call my handkerchief story. It was the cutest thing to see this husband, this loving and supportive man, be so moved and touched by seeing his wife reflecting and looking at herself back in the mirror and finally feeling normal. Another story that I really love is when a client had come back for her touch-up session and she came barging in through the door and she's like, "Jade, I don't know what you've done to me, but you've turned me into a hoe because now when I have sex with my partner, I don't ever think about my stretch marks anymore." What I really love about that story was when I first did a consultation with her before I'd ever worked on her, she opened up about how insecure she felt about her stretch marks and how she would never be intimate with her partner unless all the lights were off. So for her to completely shift and transform into this emboldened woman who could care less, like literally never thinks about her stretch marks anymore and is able to enjoy herself and to bring that spontaneity and adventure into her sex life and really find pure joy and enjoyment with her partner was a really cool thing to hear and see. The thing that I love most about my job is really empowering women to feel free again and to feel embodied in their bodies. I had a breast cancer survivor tell me after I had her areolas tattooed that she was just in disbelief. Like she would find herself running around the house without a top on to the point where she would always come into the living room and just look at her husband and be like, "Can you believe this?" He was like, okay, I get it, because she was just so in love with her body. And so that was another story that I really loved hearing. Being an incredible paramedical tattoo artist first begins by being a really great human. It is our responsibility to give people the best because I believe this is the ultimate form of empowerment. We aren't empowering people to be different from who they are. In fact, I would say we're empowering people to finally feel like themselves again before they lost control of their bodies. Maybe even move past a chapter or season in life that was really difficult and challenging where they did lose themselves. And that's the freedom and power and impact that we can have as paramedical tattoo artists.